Hello and welcome to Food Rebels. I'm your host, AJ Sharp, and this is the podcast that brings you brands, chefs, and live on-air tastings, a show that's dedicated to the more rebellious side of the food world, where we celebrate the people who have challenged the status quo. And I'm back. I'm sorry, I've been away for the last 3 or 4 weeks. I'm just exhausted after finishing my little mini MBA program. It's nice to be here with you, Georgie.
Yeah, it's lovely to have you back. So tell us, what was this all about? What were you doing? I'd love to know more.
I was doing the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Business Program, which was epic. It was so good. I had a couple of people around here locally. Steph from Macnade was one, and Sally from Simply Ice Cream, who'd both done the program before and were telling me about it. And it's absolutely brilliant. It's for small businesses, so you have to have a certain number of employees and a certain revenue, but you can't be over 15 million, which is still classified as small. I was
going to say 15 million, wow.
We're miles from there, but it was really fascinating. There were so many different types of businesses on there, and you just learned so much. It was absolutely brilliant.
So this is to do with your business, obviously. This is Sharp Relations.
Yes, so not being a host on Food Rebels,
yeah.
But when I'm not doing that, I run a PR agency called Sharp Relations, and we specialise in food and drink.
Wonderful. So did you apply? Did you get asked to apply? How did the process come about?
Yeah, I applied after hearing recommendations for the programme. I think basically I Googled Goldman Sachs 10,000 small businesses, and up popped a screen where you could apply for the programme, and that's what I did.
Amazing. And what was the application process like? Was it quite in depth?
It was actually more full on than you'd imagine.
Yeah.
There was a lot of different questions to answer. You had to kind of talk about your growth opportunities. You have to be a business in growth. You have to turn over a certain amount. You have to have a certain number of employees, all that sort of stuff. And then you go through, if you get through that phase, you then go through to have an interview with 2 different people who give you a bit of a
grilling.
a grilling. I did come off the initial interview going, whoa, that was pretty full on. Was not expecting that, but it was good.
Then what entailed? You had to, how long is it? What is it?
So we got on. So I think we were told by Amanda Paul, who was our lead. She told us, I think something like there was 4 or 5 places for every one place that somebody got. So, we got through a lot of applications to get there, which was great. And it was a cohort. There's about 70 different businesses, and you're put into 2 sections, A and B, of whatever, 30, 35 people and their businesses. And you're just put through this really intense, I think it was 12, maybe 14-week process of really going in depth into different modules across your whole business, starting with strategy of why you exist and your value proposition, working through your marketing, your sales process, your financials, your operations, your management, your leadership style, everything.
So was this across all sectors? I mean, you could be any business.
That's right, yes. So there were quite a lot of food and drink brands on there because it's such a big manufacturing industry in the UK. But for example, you got split up into growth groups. So we had, I think there was 6 in our group, and we had a really lovely gang. We all got on really well. There was a guy called Richard from a company called Body Talk, and he does confidence coaching and training, does all these incredible kind of retreats and different things where he's training people, stands on the stage in front of hundreds of thousands of people, gets them all excited. Yeah. And then there's Stu, who runs a company called Sushi, and they import just the best quality Japanese food. And I think there might be a box waiting for me at home, so I'm so excited. A lady called Jane Jennings, who runs Newbury Chiropractors. So if you're anywhere near Newbury...
I am near Newbury.
Are you? Oh my goodness, go and see Jane.
I need to go and see Jane.
Brilliant. Definitely go and see Jane. Okay. She's got the most incredible clinic over in Newbury. Sarah Harron handbags. Oh my goodness, the most beautiful handbags that go 4 ways, where you can pull off a clutch from the front and then have that in the evening, but the bigger bag during the day. Like one handbag that goes 4 ways. I think there might be one of those on its way to me too. I'm so excited.
You're going to have to put this all up for us to see.
I am, definitely. And another guy called Peter, who was great fun. He'd always come back off a rugby tour 5 minutes before, but he runs a company called Swimovations, which just does the most incredible buoyancy aids and things for children. And as soon as he brought all the stuff up on his PowerPoint, I was like, I definitely bought those when my kids were learning to swim.
Interesting.
Really cool. And we had a growth coach called Stuart Ross, who was brilliant, who guided us in a spiritual, emotional, social, all the way
Every
through.
way.
Yeah, because it's not just the learning. Like the learning's really interesting, but you already know a lot of it because you already run a business.
Sure. You've already started something up, yeah?
You've already started something up.
Yeah.
Some of the people there had run their businesses for 10 years plus. And so you already know, you've got a good idea of a lot of these things, even if you haven't had formal business training.
Or you haven't implemented them, but you know you should be doing them, but you don't quite know how to get it started and all that kind of stuff.
And I think that point is really key, that you know you should, but you don't necessarily know the process. I mean, for a start, you're being given some very new tools, cutting edge tools that are coming out of the University of Oxford and Aston Business School, which are absolutely brilliant tools for understanding and really kind of picking apart different problems. But it breaks down what you need to do into these really easy steps where you're like, just start here, understand your problem. Now you can start to identify different solutions. Well, if you use this tool, it will then teach you which of these different solutions is actually the best one to go for now with the current resources that you have, but it may change in some time. Just going through that process was absolutely fascinating.
It's like someone just holding your hand, isn't it? And actually just guiding you through where you can go next.
Definitely. And it was the people that were coming in and lecturing, some of them being flown in, some of them, the leading business lecturers at Oxford University in different places.
Sorry, we should say it. This is based in Oxford, isn't it? The course is at Oxford Said
Yes,
Business
it
School.
is. Most of the learning happened at the Said Business School in Oxford, but the last section was at Aston Business School, which is one of the leading business schools as well. And it was just the process of going through all these different things. Yes, it's hand-holding, but more than that, it's the peer-to-peer network of all these other business owners who often, like you, feel alone or struggling or overwhelmed or whatever it may be at the top of, sometimes a very small business, sometimes a much bigger one, and being able to share and cross-pollinate and have different ideas and challenge each other in a really lovely, friendly, kind, supportive way where you're just going, what about this? Did you think about that? It's like watching these people having aha moments where we're like, cool, well, he's fine. He's just going to go off into a dream world for a bit while he works that out. Let's move on to the next person. It's
I think
really
also
cool.
probably because you're not all in the same industry, you can give that kind of feedback and you're not feeling got at because you're looking at it with fresh eyes because you're not within it.
Absolutely. Any criticism, even if it was criticism, it wasn't. It was feedback. And it was done in the way of, I just thought of something, it came to me and I wondered if it was helpful. You don't have to do it.
Yeah.
But the majority of the stuff that came to you started off a whole load of thought processes in various different directions. And there was definitely a point where I got towards the end where I suddenly got completely overwhelmed by the whole thing because I realised there were lots of different things I needed to implement across the business. And you're sort of, just before you pull the whole thing together, you've pulled the whole thing apart. It's like you've broken the tower, you kicked it onto the floor and gone, oh, look at all the parts. And then there's a really difficult process where you go, do you know what? Those 4 blocks, I don't want them anymore.
The foundations I don't want anymore.
Yeah, or different pieces I don't want anymore. I need to rebuild this tower with just the blocks I do want. And that process it's time consuming because it requires a lot of thought and a lot of deep thinking and looking at your team and looking at your resources, looking at your business and being honest about things that, the stories you tell yourself. And that was transformative, hopefully. If I now go and implement the plan, hopefully. But more than that, I just love getting to know all the different people and all the different characters on the course.
I think that's what people say, don't they, about MBAs? It's also the connections that you make when you're on it. And that is a huge part of it, of doing something like this. You would recommend other people if they're thinking?
I would highly recommend it.
Go and sign up.
Definitely go and sign up. There were loads of food and drink brands on there. I was just trying to think of them. There's lovely Paul from Edmund's Cocktails, obviously Stu from Sushi. Laurie Firma was there from Freddie's Farm. That was really cool. And I met a lovely lady called Kate Ward from Silver Apples Bakery. That's just people I can think of off the top of my head right now. Really, really fab course to do. So highly recommend you apply if you are running a business or thinking about it.
Yeah. Is it free? Do you have to pay for it?
No, you don't. You have to apply and get onto it, but you don't have to pay for it. You pay your travel, but they will put you up in hotels and pay your food. And
wow,
the food at the Syad Business School was insanely good.
Oh my goodness. I mean, because MBAs are normally super expensive, and that's why they have seem to be very elitist because you can't get onto it. So this that's amazing to be.
Yeah, it's a real commitment from the Goldman Sachs program towards small businesses in the country and towards growth. And I think one of the things right in the beginning we were told was that the UK industry at that point in February time, growth was at 1.7%.
Yeah, it's awful.
It's been tricky, but the fact was that all the businesses on that program were in growth, and some of them, because they're in the early stages and emerging, in high growth as well. And it was a really empowering moment of like, come on, we can do this.
Exciting.
Yeah.
So wonderful. Oh, well, thank you so much for telling us all about that.
Well, thanks for asking. I wanted to ask you about your triathlon.
Oh, yeah, a different kind of challenge.
Nice though. What did you do?
Well, I did the Blenheim Triathlon. It's my first one I've ever done, and it's a sprint triathlon. So you do a 750 metre swim and then a 19 kilometre cycle and a 5.5 kilometre run.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was really good because I'd never done any open water swimming. I hardly ever swam at all, actually. And so ditto the cycling, and I've only really done running. So yeah, it was a real challenge, one I actually really enjoyed, and I'm thinking, oh, maybe I should do another one.
Oh, well done.
Yeah, start to get the bug.
Is it true you did the bike ride on a mountain bike?
I did, and people did laugh at me.
Oh no.
And also were like, wow, gosh, you must be finding this really difficult. And I didn't think it would impact me that much, but Dave, my husband, was saying that he did have a road bike, and he was like, the difference is just you can't compare. Like, oh, okay, maybe if I do go into this
next time, you're going to get really into this.
They're so expensive though. That's the problem. That's why I haven't got one.
Amazing. Well done. That's absolutely what an achievement.
Thanks. Yeah, and it was such a beautiful day as well, and it was sunny, and Blenheim was looking beautiful. I actually on the bike ride was not even focusing. I was just looking around, being like, "Wow, look at this! It's so amazing, it's so beautiful." I was like, I probably should focus on the actual cycling.
Oh, I love it though. But if you're doing it just to do it,
exactly.
Who cares what your time is?
I didn't care. I just wanted to complete it, and I just wanted to have a nice time, and I did. I had a really great time. I wasn't stressed. I didn't, I just had fun, and that's what it's about.
It is what it's about. And I think we put a lot of emphasis on time, don't we?
Exactly.
And actually
being the fastest at this, and I read a book recently and it was about that, and about how, everyone's racing. It's like, just enjoy the journey. Like, just have fun doing the journey. Just do something and have fun doing that. I really, I didn't mind where I was going to come or the amount of time or anything. I just enjoyed moving my body, and that was really fun.
It's the same reason I've taken my Fitbit watch off. I just I don't need to know whether my day was good or bad, because my watch has goaded me at the end of the day.
No, do you know what? I have a Garmin, and it tells me what my body battery is. And sometimes I look at it in the morning and it's like, oh my goodness, my body battery is so bad. And then mentally I go, well, I can't do anything today now because it's so bad.
So suddenly this piece of technology is actually telling you how you feel.
Exactly.
But sometimes you can have hardly any sleep and still feel great the next day.
Well, I went into the triathlon on a body, you meant to have 100, and mine was at like 25. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, going into it at 25 rather than at 100. But, I still did it. So
I think lose the technology, lose the measurement.
Sometimes it is a hindrance. I totally agree.
Because had you measured and had you decided, oh, right, a beginner time for this should be this, you would have measured yourself against it. And it wouldn't have changed probably anything to do with the outcome, but it would have changed your enjoyment of the whole process.
Do you know what? And actually interesting, I was doing it with a friend, and he's done an Ironman before, and he was saying that when he did his Ironman, he didn't have a time in his head. He just wanted to complete it. I mean, the distances are ludicrous on the Ironman. But he was doing it with somebody who had a fixed time that they wanted to do it in. And then when they realized they weren't going to do it in that time, totally broke down. And, and he was just like, I just didn't understand. And like, just enjoy it. Like, he couldn't enjoy it at all because he'd missed his target time. And therefore it was utter devastation.
It's a good metaphor for life, isn't it? How many times have we said something has to happen by a certain date or time, and then it hasn't, and then you've had to spend an extra whole period of time picking yourself back up
again,
which is crazy.
It is.
Right, I'm going to try and do that more.
Right.
Anyway, we have a really cool guest in.
Food?
Yeah, back onto food. We've got a really cool guest coming in today, so let's get her in.
Yeah, wonderful.
So we have a really special guest in today, Alienor Buzenard from Nuccy. Welcome, Alienor.
Hi, thank you so much. Super happy to be here with you.
Can you tell me a little bit about Nuccy?
Yeah, of course. So Nuccy is a functional nut butter brand. And what we do is we combine ashwagandha, which is an Ayurvedic herb that can help release stress and basically like kind of give you like a feel good feeling, and we put it in nut butters to make it easier to have it every day. So instead of drinking it or taking a pill, you would just eat it with your regular nut butter, and that's the kind of like basic concept of it.
That's ashwagandha.
Yes, ashwagandha.
What is ashwagandha?
So it's an adaptogen, or you can also call it an Ayurvedic herb. It's mostly grown in India. And basically, if you take it every day, it has this impact on your body. It helps release stress. It's like a mood boosting kind of herb. And some people take it in pills. You can also have it in powder in your coffee. Like there's so many ways of taking it. And it's kind of like growing and growing in the UK. And it also gets activated if you eat it with healthy fats, which nuts are. So it also makes sense in a way to combine them together.
What made you come up with the idea?
Yeah, it was during the pandemic. I started taking ashwagandha in my coffee to relax because I had just finished my master's. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I decided to take 6 months off at the beginning of COVID. And, it was just a very stressful time, I think, for everyone. And after 6 months, I was a bit bored of my smoothies. Like it was just taking too much like mind space to every time have to add all my superfood types of powder.
Yeah.
And also some of superfood powders I never end up eating because I don't like it and I don't know how to use it. And I just started to combine ashwagandha in my nut butters that I was making at home because I had a lot of time.
Oh, you're making your own nut butters.
Yeah, I was making my own nut
Nice.
butters.
Okay.
It started with hazelnut, then because I couldn't find it, and then peanut. And then one day I put the ashwagandha in and I just started taking it like this. And then I realized that it was like a good idea maybe for a business. And since I've come to London, I've got super into wellness and like the vegan industry. And I grew up in France and Belgium, so you don't eat nut butters there. Like it's not a thing as it was in the UK. When I came to London, I discovered that. So it was kind of like a mix of the feel-good effect of nut butters that it's just like such a homey, like delicious, like for me, like feel-good product, and the ashwagandha, which is actually a feel-good ingredient in and of itself.
That's so cool. So how do you make a nut butter? I have no idea.
The way I did it, I don't know if it's like the universal way, but you can there's so many different ways. What I started to do was I roasted my nuts and then I put it in a you have to put it in a strong blender, like one that wouldn't overheat. And you just start blending it, and at first it's going to become like powder, and then it's going to become a paste. And the more you blend it, the more it will kind of like become this butter, basically. And then you can add ingredients. So you can add salt, you can add whatever oil you want, or sugar, or chocolate, and everything blends. Yeah.
I always imagined that you had to add oil and all sorts of other things, but it will actually become a paste.
Yeah. You don't
Without
need to
anything
add
at all.
anything because the nuts actually have oil in them. So that's why, but sometimes, like, even if it's just a peanut butter, you can still see oil separation because the actual nut has fat in it.
Oh, you get peanut oil, don't you?
Yeah.
And almond oil and all that kind of stuff. So I'm pursuing it.
Yeah, exactly.
I have to have an oil somewhere for that.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. You don't need to add anything. And that's also what I discovered, that you don't need palm oil. And I think in my upbringing, I always thought peanut butter was like this super unhealthy stuff with like loads of sugar and oil, and like it was just like how to, like what not to eat. And I discovered it was actually super good for you. It was like a lot of healthy fat. Like it could really help the balanced diet. And when I became more of less plant-based, it really helped to have this in my breakfast.
Can you take too much ashwagandha? Is there a limit?
Like scientifically, there is a limit, but it's not this kind of herb that would be really hard to overdose on. But then I did a lot of research. Like I read a lot of herbalists' books and studies on ashwagandha. So it's not one of those herbs that is super dangerous. But obviously, like you can always have too much of anything. So in the nut butter, there is like 1,500 milligram of ashwagandha root powder, and it's below the limit that would make it like a medical product. So it's really like a holistic product that's supposed to be like have a little effect, but it's never going to be like a cure, like one pill to like, help everything.
Yeah.
So yeah. And obviously if you're pregnant or if you're have an autoimmune disease, it's actually not for children. It's actually really awkward whenever I make a tasting.
Oh, so it's not for children?
No, it's not for children because of the ashwagandha.
Because they can't take it?
Yeah. Because it's like any like super, like it's like some medicine that's not for children. There are like essential oils. It's also not for children, I think, because it can have an impact on the body and they're too young. I mean, 1 spoon, like it will never harm anyone, but it's better not to. Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to be a little bit careful, haven't you, with a young body.
Exactly.
Shall we taste this? Because
Yes.
I'm looking at all
Yes.
these in front of us, and I
So
Where should we start?
want to
the
dive
almond
in.
butter is our bestseller. Like it's the one that people really, really love.
Okay.
Then hazelnut, I think, is something that you will not find in like your regular supermarket. So it's also interesting. And they all have a bit of coconut in them as well, because I personally loved it when I started putting coconut in it.
What kind of coconut? The coconut cream or?
No, it's actual toasted coconut flakes. So it's not extra oil or anything.
I love almonds. I eat so many almonds.
Do you? See, I'd say almond is my least favourite.
Really?
Yeah.
The outcome for me of the of doing the Zoe app a while back was basically I need to eat a lot more almonds. It's obviously tailored to me.
No, I know. Yeah, I get that. I can really taste the coconut in that.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah. So they all got coconut in them.
Yeah, they all got coconut in them. And they all have this very drizzly texture.
So funny, isn't it? The only time I really have hazelnut is when I'm having it is as part of like a chocolate
Yeah.
paste. It's so funny that even though that has no chocolate in it, I assume that has no chocolate in it.
Yeah, no, it has no
I can
chocolate.
taste chocolate in my head
Yeah. So many
just
people
through
have said-
association.
Yeah. Such an association.
Yeah.
That's lovely. It tastes
Very nice.
in my head sweet.
But that's got no sugar in it, has
No,
it?
it has no sugar. It only has 3 ingredients. So it's the hazelnut, coconut, and then the ashwagandha. But so many people think like it tastes like a healthy Nutella, even though it has
No chocolate in it.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
It's the association, isn't it? That
Yeah.
I literally, as I tasted it, looked back to see if it was
chocolate.
had cocoa in it, and it doesn't have any.
Okay, so the next one you can't taste because you
It's
can't.
peanut.
So I will eat peanut from the jar.
That's nice.
Really?
Yeah. Wow. That is a much deeper flavour.
I think
you
it's from
rate-
the roasting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's from the roasting, and we also source them from the U.S. in Texas, and it's like a small farm. And they have like a super specific types of peanuts that I really loved when I first
Yeah,
tried
that
them.
because that's definitely a different type of peanut to the brand that I taste at the moment. So the ashwagandha, it's totally tasteless.
I mean, if you take it as a powder, it's not tasteless, but in those, yes,
Yeah.
it is tasteless.
So I can't taste any earthiness or anything within them. So it's an added benefit product rather than making it taste something else.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? Like
exactly.
That's really interesting.
The idea was kind of to make nut butters functional, to have like something in addition to the actual benefits of the nuts. And because the ashwagandha has a bitter taste sometimes, and in powders it can surprise you.
Oh, okay.
And that's why, that's where I kind of wanted to hide the taste a little bit.
And what's the chocolate one?
So this one is the one that has a little bit of coconut sugar, and it also has cacao powder, but it's still like palm oil free, vegan. It only has 5 ingredients.
Is that got a nut in it?
Yeah, there's hazelnut in it.
Oh,
as
hazelnut.
well.
Okay,
Yeah,
so that's the more kind of hazelnut and chocolate.
like
Yeah.
sweet. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's super interesting to taste those different. Yeah.
Side by side as well, without any other additional elements. It's really interesting. The almond definitely had. You could really taste the coconut in that, but not so much
in the other ones.
in the hazelnut. No. So you've put coconut in all of them.
Yes, I've put coconut in all of them.
Wow. I think for me, maybe because I eat almonds a lot, I could pick out the flavour straight away, whereas the others, maybe I don't eat so much.
I really like hazelnuts. So I put those a lot on salads and stuff. I'd have them more on a kind of savoury side rather than a sweet side. But I did that chocolate one was nice, and the peanut. I really like the peanut one.
Yeah. It tastes healthy, but it tastes still like, because it's got the richness there from all the oils, it still tastes like it's quite a treat.
That's why I eat it from the pot, because it feels like almost like a little bar of chocolate or something. You know, that kind of hit of something sweet and something kind of nice, but it's
And rich.
exactly. But it's
Yeah.
not sugar. You know, it's not a sweet or a piece of chocolate.
Yeah. No, it was super important for me that it felt really good, like you were eating like delicious food, but also that it was actually healthy. Like that they were actually like organic, like 'cause all the products are organic. It's certified by the Soil Association.
Amazing.
So all the nuts, the ashwagandha, and the coconut as well. And that was super important for me to have like this really feel good, delicious product, but also actually healthy.
Yeah, because that's a lot of hoops to jump through to get it to the organic, isn't it?
Yeah.
You would have to be really passionate about that. So you're from France. What made you want to come to the UK to make a brand?
Actually, I came to study in London.
Yeah.
I studied sociology at the London School of Economics.
Amazing.
And I really discovered like the London food scene here.
Yeah.
I always liked food, but I think I discovered like the wellness movement, like when I started like in 2015, like the vegan movement kind of started, plant-based, and I discovered like this whole scene that I didn't know in Belgium because I grew up in Belgium and in France. And I think while I was discovering all of this, I started discovering Ayurvedic herb and superfoods. And during COVID, that's when I started to cook more and to realize like maybe that I could do a business in it as well. I always wanted to have maybe a wellness or food business. I just didn't know how it would look like.
And do you know what? We've had so many people on who've started stuff in the pandemic, haven't we? And it's been that moment of having to stop that made the creativity come to the forefront. And I just think, you know, there were lots of bad things that happened in the pandemic, but there were a huge amount of good things, you know, and I think it's amazing that so much creativity came out of that forced stopping. And if we did more forced stopping, how much more would come out?
And for me, it also came from like at the end, like September 2020, I lost like 2 family members. And it was super, like it was not COVID, it was other things, but it was still super hard. And that moment really made me pause like the kind of grief process after, and then cooking and like creating stuff really put me back into my body. I think I was just like, you know, like too much in my head and stressed. And just the idea, like the process of making the nut butters already made me feel better. And the ashwagandha was like an add-on. And the whole creative process, like I created the brand, like the labels, I chose the colors, like the ground up, I really did everything. And that whole process of creating something, I think really helped me. Like,
that's so amazing. Amazing story.
But it came from like a stopping moment and like almost being mindful about what I was doing. Yeah.
I think that's so critical, isn't it? You know, making everyone stop and get into a creative space and get into a new space was so good for us. We seem to have lost all the learning, don't we? We've all just gone straight back.
We're just rushing too much. That's the problem.
I mean, I swear even the fact that we had really good weather, I actually attribute to the fact that there wasn't pollution. And
it's true, I
just think all of that was as a result of it.
So where are you stocked? Where can we buy Nuccy?
Yeah, so actually we have a super exciting news because we just launched in Planet Organic this weekend.
Oh, brilliant.
So I'm super excited. I was just in the store yesterday. So.
That's so lovely.
Congrats. That's really exciting. So if you live near a Planet Organic, get down there and buy some Nuccy nut butters.
Exactly. And we're also on our own website. You can buy them. We're also on Holland & Barrett, but only online. So you can order them and collect them in store. And then we have a few independent shops around London and the UK. So we're kind of like growing. So it's super exciting.
That's fab.
And you've given our listeners a really lovely discount as well.
Yes.
Food Rebels 20 off your website. Do you want to just say what your website is?
Yeah, it's nuccy.co.uk.
And that's spelt it's Nuccy. And that will get you 20% off.
Yes. But get down to Planet Organic, get that rate of sale going. That's really brilliant. Thank you so much for that. It's a very generous code. And thank you so much for coming in and telling us about Nuccy. Oh, one last thing. How much is a jar?
So all of them are $7.99.
$7.99.
19, sorry, not 19.
Lovely. And for such a pure, you know, we talked about non-processed foods recently, for such a pure product as well. That's
and
only
organic.
Got, 3 ingredients and organic is, that's an excellent price. Sadly, we've come to the end of our show. Very big thank you to both of you for coming on. We'd love to hear any feedback you have about the show, so please do head to our website, foodrebels.co.uk, or our Instagram account, food_rebels_. Please do drop us a line. You've been listening to Food Rebels, which is available on radio stations around the UK. You can also listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Audible. Please remember to subscribe. Thanks for joining and make sure you taste the rebellion.